We'll be making a reversible triangle top, traditional triangle style, and it is so fun to make. Let's get started. When you start them, they'll be pinned like this with the liner. The liner is going to have your seam allowance, so you're going to be able to serge up to the edge of the printed fabric. We're going to serge the bottom of the cup first. If you need to mark what's the bottom and what's the top, you can do that with needles. We are going to serge the bottom of the cup with no elastic. So no elastic goes in the bottom of the cup because you're going to make a tunnel for your under bust strap, which will have elastic. So then you'll be all good. We're going to use elastic in the two of the angles of the triangle, the left and the right side. Now the trickiest part is we have to leave a hole about 1/2 inch on each side so we can put our tunnel for our straps. And we were going to leave the very top open to put our shoulder strap in. And how I do that is I serge it and then I just hook it out or whoop-de-doo it out. I could mark it here. I would not use a pen like I'm doing. I would use a fabric pen, which we do have, and fabric markers that are dissolvable and will come out. So I'm just marking where I'm going to stop or where I'm going to pull loopy-doop the top out of the serger. I'm going to cut that elastic before I finish at the end here, right where I want my opening to start and finish, and loop out or hook out. I've slowed this part down so you can see up close what I'm talking about, the serged edge, and we're going to leave basically a hole like we do in the crotches or anything else to reverse the suits. That is also the area we're going to reverse it at. So when you start from the other side, one side you're going to have to start from the bottom of the cup, and the other side you'll start from the shoulder strap of the cup. Don't let it get too confusing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer here so you can see. I'm going to go at an angle and cut in right where I've marked it. So at an angle, I'm going to cut in and then loop it back, put my elastic, and make sure I'm on my seam allowance. And I'm going to go ahead and serge all the way to the end. So on this end, this is where our shoulder strap's going to be. So it doesn't matter which end you start on, the left side of the cup or the right side of the cup. That's how you want it to end up looking. I'm going to remove all the needles and we can move on to the straps after we've done both cups. Made sure that there is no holes, made sure that the serged edge looks super nice and clean. I'm going to start by sewing the under bust with no elastic, then the two left and right sides of the cup with elastic. I'm going to go ahead and repeat it a little bit faster here so you can see it. So I am starting on the right side of the cup, which would be at the top of the shoulder strap. And then I'm flipping it and starting at the bottom of the tunnel part of the triangle top and working my way up to that shoulder strap. Now I would have to already have made my straps, flipped them and reversed them. Made sure I measured them out so I know what is the shoulder straps at least 15 inches and the under bust strap, which needs to at least be 36 to 40 inches. 40 more for an extra large, 36 for a small. So I'm lining out my straps, making sure that I have them all here. I'm gonna cut this one. First thing I'm gonna do is get a safety pin, my handy dandy safety pin, and I'm gonna hook one of the shoulder straps. And you can also use a few other tools that we have. This is just the easiest. I'm not going through any tight tunnels. I'm just poking it through the top of that shoulder strap there. And I'm gonna let a little tiny bit hang out. And then we're gonna go across it 4 times. Forward, backwards, forward, backwards. So forward twice, backwards twice is going to equal 4 times here. Okay, these are pretty important strings right here from the serged edge on the under bust where we put the hole. We trim those and we're going to pull on, it doesn't matter which string. We're just going to find one and we're going to pull it tight till it knots. And then I'm going to pull in another one. Super fast, you'll get used to it. Just trim them, not too short, but short enough that I can take a string like this and I just pull on it and I wait till it ties itself into a knot. And then I'm going to trim those little pieces. If we don't knot those ends, it will come unraveled and your bottom part of your swimsuit, it's going to look super cheap and it's just an ugly look. So I'm going to go ahead and reverse it after that shoulder strap is in. That's really it. It's just that one shoulder strap. We're going to reverse it. We're going to tuck our corners in just like we would on any of our other exit points from reversing. We're going to fold it over to match the serged edge seam allowance. It's kind of like the same width or depth that the serged edge was on. You can pin it if you need to. You'll get better and better at this too. When you first start, your hole seems to be pretty big. It does cause an issue when your hole is too big because we don't need our tunnel that big. So as you get some practice in, we're going to make that hole smaller and our tunnel only needs to be less than 1/2 inch, and even less than that. And you'll see why here in a minute. I'll show you. When we go to add our tunnel, if our hole is larger, then we're going to have still a hole outside of our tunnel that we're going to have to try to close up. So I'm going to pin it here just to show you. It's going to hold those little flaps in. But sometimes these needles get in the way of my stitch and kind of make it worse. I can feel with my fingers where the serged edge is on this tunnel and then make sure I do not straight stitch over that serged edge. What I'm going to do though is fill it and I'm going to butt my footer up to it. So that's going to be my seam allowance. The right side of my footer is going to butt up against that serged seam that I can feel in the inside of that triangle top. I'm showing you I can feel it. I'm going to butt my footer up to it. And that footer is going to be my seam allowance, which ends up being almost 1/4 of an inch. And straight stitch, lock it in. So you're going to reverse it. And then you're going to straight stitch all the way down. We want to make sure our tension is set for this in the place that it normally is, usually in all 3s. we're going to lock it in at that end as well. And it's crucial to make sure that our thread matches our swimsuit because this is an outside stitch. So this is the part I was talking about. You're going to have a little hole, almost looks like 2 tunnels, and we don't want this. Because there's a second hole there, it looks kind of like shitty work. So I have to go back and close that up. For the purpose of this video, I did that, and I'm just going to straight stitch on that hole. It's going to be like 4 stitches there because I do not want more stitches on the outside of my reversible swimsuit than I have to have. So what I'm saying here is let's try not to do that stitch on the outside, that little straight stitch to close up that extra hole. We'll try as hard as possible not to do that. As we're practicing, or as you're practicing, that's totally fine. Getting the hang of it. Making that hole a little bit smaller. I'm going to show you this one a little bit faster. Just how I work, and just a zoom, zoom, zoom. I had to rethread this, but I'm going to go back and forth, back and forth. We're going to get a total of 4 across that shoulder strap right there. Lock it in, and then we're going to trim the excess straps and fabric right here. Not too close, but close enough that it's not too bulky either. I'm going to pull that strap out of that hole. It does not matter what hole you go through, left or right. I'm going to pull these little strings here so I can lock in that serged edge so it does not unravel. I'm going to trim those little pieces, and I'm going to flip it and reverse it, and then I'm going to top stitch. That top stitch for our tunnel, which is going to be our under bust strap tunnel. And then that top is done after I feed the strap through, and I will show you how I do that too. I'm going to top stitch, and then I'm going to show you how to feed that last strap through the tunnel. We're going to use our straw like we do to flip our straps. It's a pretty cool technique I've come up with. So you're going to grab your straw, and we are going to go through the small end of the straw, and we're going to feed it through the bottom of our straps here, or the bottom of our triangle top here. And you got to work with it a little bit. You want to make sure that that tip of the fabric is folded in. And sometimes when you bring that straw out, that folded fabric pops out, or sometimes we end up sewing it closed. Once you get the straw all the way through both sides, at the same time, we're going to put our hook in. We're going to grab the end of that strap and pull it all the way through. And I'm going to pull it all the way through, but not too far. I'm going to pull it all off now with straw while keeping that strap under the bust. I'm going to adjust it, make my straps all even, tie the ends in a knot, and trim off the excess from the knot.